Okay, cool. We are good to go.
Sweet.
And just to kick things off, just some pretty basic stuff about you. You have a discography that spans at minimum 5 years, with over 70 songs and 7 projects under your belt. When did you initially get into music, and I guess what was your introduction to this underground scene specifically?
Let's see. I think as far as like in general, I started playing piano when I was really young, like middle school, like sixth grade, kind of. And then as far as this scene, my brother put me on a peep when we were in high school. And I think that's kind of how the spiral started.
Did you so you played instruments early, so you had prior music knowledge, but like was artists like Peep and artist related? Was that like the basis for the music that you wanted to make, or was that what you just kind of initially listened to, but then later drew inspiration?
So before my SKELE project, I had a different project where I was doing more of like just kind of like really terrible like acoustic emo, like Xbox headset type beat.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, when I started SKELE, like pretty much everyone that was big in the emo scene at the time were like my main influences.
Yeah, and you've stuck by that genre pretty consistently over the years, but you've also ventured off into alternative rap. Apart from that alternative emo, you've done indie rock and a couple other related genres. What I suppose attracts you to that sound specifically?
I don't know. I think I just really like sad music for some reason. um, I guess I always have. Like my favorite artist of all time is Flat Sound. And so when I started doing this kind of stuff, and then when I got older, I wanted to bring more of like that kind of like lyricism and stuff into the like emo rap space, I guess.
Yeah,
And that's kind of just resulted in where I am at the moment,
like
I
that
think.
crossover of
Mm.
like what you were making and then also what you enjoyed. Oh no. Oh no. And I feel like I always do. Just I feel like whenever I do these interviews, I'm like, who inspired you? Like, who's all this stuff? So I'm gonna kind of flip that question on its head this time because I've asked it so many times. What are some musical, whether it be influences or just enjoyment? Who are some artists that you really draw from or enjoy that have are so like far removed or detached from the music that you make?
Oh, geez. Really early Panic, like a Favor You Can't Sweat Out Panic.
Great album.
Um, Porter Robinson, uh, early Skrillex, and From First to Last.
Nice. It was a very varied, a very wide array of,
Mm,
of, of enjoyments.
yeah, I
Um,
kind of had I was really into EDM and then really into post hardcore, and now I'm like really into everything super sad. So I think I just kind of get bits and pieces from everything.
as long as it's sad, it's like good to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and we will definitely dive in to I suppose the subject matter and the content of the music you make. But you recently talked about on Twitter about this sort of surreal feeling that you get from seeing tattoos based off of your body of work. How do you feel about having that important of an impact in the lives of people that you've maybe never even met?
I think it's really sick, but I also think it's terrifying. I kind of feel like responsible for something someone's gonna have on them forever, which is spooky. But yeah, it's really cool. I'm always honored. I think it's crazy that somebody would get anything related to me on them forever. So I don't know. I kind of feel responsible for making sure like everyone's always stoked on the music I'm making if they've like went out of their way to get a tattooed on them. If that makes sense.
Those people, like that's who you want to please the most. It's like
Yeah,
you've
like if
committed to this.
I can't make something they don't fuck with.
Then you got to go with the skelly laser removal, which
Yeah,
is which is
exactly.
not as fun and it hurts twice as much.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Um, and in terms of your recent music, in terms of collaboration as well, you seem to have a bit of a go-to circle in terms of producers. I see a lot of Joel's production in your work. I see a lot of AC and a lot of Irby, all
Mm.
being recurring producers in your discography. How do you think that this helps maintain a level of consistency in your work ethic and quality, especially in a genre kind of dominated by, free to use type beats?
Yeah, I think I just have kind of like accumulated a bunch of people that I know can like make stuff that I'm gonna enjoy working on. Um like AC's like pretty new to like the group of people I work with, and that motherfucker's just been knocking it out of the park for me. But yeah, I feel like just over the years I've just kind of acquired this nice little group of producers that always like just can do what I need them to do, which is so sick.
Yeah, I
Um
mean, oh, sorry.
no, you're not, you're good, you're good.
I was gonna say on Please, your most recent EP, the final track Cold was self-produced.
Mm.
Do you think that that's an endeavor that you would like to build upon in the future?
Oh, absolutely. If I was better at producing shit, all of my stuff would be self-produced, but not there yet. But yeah, I would love to get better at it. So hopefully, hopefully
Yeah.
soon.
And speaking of Please, I made a review about Please. I really really enjoyed the EP, and I would say that it contained some of the most vulnerable and honest music that I've heard all year. What is your approach to and perspective to being so overtly honest and vulnerable on tracks to a point where the song becomes, I guess, entirely personal?
Yeah. I don't know. I think kind of now that it's just become my thing is like how earth-shattering can I make these
How much can
lyrics?
I hurt these people?
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of the like more natural progression of my songwriting now is just I went from like more of like the generic heartbreak stuff, and now I really want to write like way more intimate, like heartfelt and really personal stuff. Just because it's not only easier for me to write, but it just I don't know. It feels way more rewarding to be super proud of the kind of work I put into my lyrics now
Yeah.
versus like 3 years ago when I was just kind of yeah, this shit hurts. Da, da, da.
Do you think that? I guess I mean the underground specifically. I know it's a pretty vague term, but the underground specifically, it definitely is sort of detached from what you would call mainstream popularity or mainstream music. Do you think that having a music scene where circles are tightly knit and everyone knows each other and such, do you think a scene like that cultivates and breeds an environment in which those kinds of tracks are more important or necessary than maybe going for relatability or vagueness?
Honestly, I don't think anything's like more important than anything else. Like, um, it's just kind of like what I like doing. Like I
Mhm.
love listening to shit that's just super dumb. Like I'll be playing Lil Pump in the car. So
He's got some bangers. All right.
like some yeah, yeah, he does. I'm saying, but yeah, like I think like some people like go for sound more than lyrical content. Some people go for lyrical content more than sound. So I guess it's just kind of like what whoever's listening to it wants to hear.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think everything's got its little space.
All right. And jumping back to the present, you just dropped "I Can't Love You Enough,"
Mm.
which is a slow-moving, melancholy indie rock track that is a slight step away from your familiar sound. How do you view branching away from what you're musically used to, and is it a sound that you want to continue to cultivate?
Yeah, so I think I do want to keep moving. Maybe not as much indie rock as I Can't Love You Enough, but like stuff like Personal Hell and like all of the slower stuff on Please is kind of what I like working on the most right now. Like
Hmm.
before this, I was working on another like super sad piano ballad. So that's just what I've been liking working on the most. I think it's easiest for me to write on, and I like the sound a lot.
Hmm.
So hopefully I can keep doing that stuff and just keep elevating it to where I want it to be.
Yeah. Um, and in terms of your writing and in terms of the sound that you're cultivating, as we mentioned, a lot of the imagery and metaphors on Please and your other tracks, like they're open and they're vulnerable and honest, but I think that you could maybe also describe them as intense or even at times visceral. When it comes to like writing these tracks, do you put everything down into words? Do you kind of go off of loose ideas and concepts? I know some people don't even write their tracks. What is your approach to making a Skelly song?
So at least for Please, I wanted to write an entire project on the subject of masochism, but less masochism like physically, but masochism like emotionally,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. like the concept of like wanting whoever you're seeing to be hurting you because it makes you more attached to them. So for Please, I wrote all of the songs with that concept in mind. I think the first song I wrote for Please was Sermon. And then, but yeah, in general, I'll usually come up with a lyric and then that becomes the whole concept of the song. And then I just kind of write it out from there.
Okay. And to go back in time one more time, Hellbound Hearts, Severed Souls.
Oh my God.
Dropped a whole 5 years ago. How do you think that your ethos towards making music has changed since then, if at all?
I think it's changed a lot. So back then I was in high school and music was like a little fun hobby to do.
Yeah.
And like most of my old stuff was like just to see if I could make music.
Mm-hmm.
And the only people listening to it were like my friends in high school. So it didn't like, I didn't have a quality standard or anything. But now music's my job, and not only is it's still my hobby, but it's also my job. So like now I have to have like a quality standard, and I just think a lot more goes into everything I make. Music's become so much of my life that most of my life ends up in the music in some way or another versus just bullshitting a track on a Blue Yeti in high school. So
yeah. Do you think that do you think that making that transition from music being a hobby or even to the extent of it being a passion that you do and you can, do you think that the transition from that to being something that is financially viable, do you think that changes your perspective on how you create music or even maybe why you do?
I think what changed is the stress involved. I think that I still enjoy making music the same amount. It's still my favorite thing to do. But now there's like so much pressure on like songs performing well and like getting everything done on time, like getting the release promoted the right way in order to like keep doing it as my job. But it was quite the slow progression. Like it didn't all at once just become how I made my money. So it's been like a pretty mild slope, I would say. I've had time to acclimate to like doing this full time. So
that's good.
Mm.
And moving over to the topic of performance and live settings and venues. Back in November you did a show in Fort Worth, and in October you did a show in Nashville as well. How has acclimating to a live scene been, and do you have like go-to songs for performing live?
It's been cool. I think doing live shows is my favorite part about music. I really like traveling and like being able to travel for work, and then the work is getting to sing my little songs in front of a group of people. Just it's the coolest thing ever. But yeah, I don't know about I usually play Snow just because it's my biggest song. I feel like if I don't, somebody is gonna like pull a gun out on me.
Put out some really angry tweets, maybe tackle you off the stage.
Yeah, there's songs I won't play live. I won't play I Still Care, But I Know That I Shouldn't. It's so long, and I also just hate that song. So I won't play that one.
You should have led with that. You were like, it's long. Also, I hate it. It's like
I'm really sick of it. So yeah, I won't play that live. But I think releasing once a month and my show schedule has been so inconsistent lately that like every time I go to play a show, like I have a whole new list of songs that I want to play live. So it kind of changes pretty often.
Yeah. And how many times have you performed live? You can give me like a rough estimate. I promise this leads to something.
I have honestly no idea.
Are we saying over, under 10?
Over 10 for sure.
Okay. So at least we're talking double digits.
Yeah.
Okay. My follow-up question to that: you've had some experience. You've gone out a couple times. You've done your stuff from the perspective of SKELE. From what you have learned over those shows, what do you personally believe makes a good or a bad live performance?
Um, I think the venue has a lot to do with it. Not to say you can't like have a good time in like a shitty venue, but like I've played venues that had no AC in the middle of the summer, and that was
Oh,
brutal. But I think really it's just like if the crowd's feeling the music and if the artist is feeling the music, then it's gonna be a great show.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really all that matters. At least to me, that's all that matters is that, like the people in the crowd like are enjoying
Yeah.
the music. So that's what really matters to me.
Yeah, I asked young Van the same question,
Hmm.
and he said that it wasn't really as important to be like hitting notes properly or to even like be really like doing a technically good job as long as like essentially as long as the vibe was there.
I think that's a fair answer. Yeah,
Okay,
I
and
think if you're doing like a really bare bones stripped down track and you're like not hitting anything, that might be bad. But like if you're jumping around and everyone's having a good time, then yeah, it doesn't
yeah,
really matter
as long as the
vibe is
energy's there.
good.
Yeah. Okay. Oh no. All right. Well,
I need to get a phone stand.
we're gonna we're probably gonna wrap up soon, so your phone will not take much more damage. Um, and another question I had was, 3 years ago you posted "Medicine," which was the first song in which you directly addressed the subject of the track to have he/him pronouns. Basically, in your song, directly stating like, "Hey, I am gay." Was this a conscious decision to sort of liberate yourself from the vagueness of your previous tracks, or I guess was it something you just kind of finally decided to do?
I think Medicine came out around the time where music was starting to go pretty good. And I was like, damn, I've been lying on the internet for like 3 years. So I think I just kind of decided it was time. I came out like in my personal life at like 18.
Mm-hmm.
So Medicine wasn't like super far off either from that time. So I think I just was like, shit,
Might as well.
this motherfucker gay.
Um, and that's a pretty good straightforward way to put it. I would say.
Yeah.
What did you have any sort of I don't want to say reservations because I were you at the very least bit nervous about maybe about that reception where you had been making music and cultivating a fan base for at least a couple years at this point?
I don't know about nervous. I feel like if people didn't like it, then that sucks for them.
Yeah, I mean that's on them.
I'm not the type of person that really cares if people like don't like that I'm gay or not. Like, if you don't like that I'm gay, then you can listen to like the other 500 people that make the same kind of music as me.
There you go.
So
Homophobes
yeah,
are not welcome on Skelly's music comments, stream comments, whatever. We don't want to see you there.
to this day, I still get comments are like, "Is Skelly gay?" And I'm like, "No, I wrote this entire love song about a dude, but
Just for the
not gay."
jokes. It was a joke.
Yeah, bro,
was
it's not the
satire.
homies.
Yeah, nah. um, I would say that probably wraps up everything that I wanted to ask you. But before we head out of here, is there anything you got going on? Anything you want to promo? Anything you want to shout out? The floor is yours.
Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be saying this. I'm going on tour in August. East Coast tour, Brooklyn, Boston, Rhode Island. I'm gonna be there. I hope to see you there.
And this is a Melmage exclusive here, Noah. You haven't not announced this yet.
No.
All right, we got the channel exclusive. Everyone go see Skelly on tour. Everyone go watch him miss all of his notes for the sake of energy, and jump around and have a good time.
Exactly. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Anytime.